Welcome back to the Get the Gloves podcast with yours truly, Chris, Raul, and Jose, where we speak all things combat sports, including the fake combat sports, which we'll speak about today to appease my good friend, Mr. Raul Castillo over there. Uh, we had an interesting fight card a few days ago, last week, in Vegas, which ended in, I guess some controversy, not really, but some people consider it that way. We got some fun topics to speak about. Let's get into it, guys. Raul, why don't you kick it off, man? I know we're going to get into some fake combat sports,
Here we
but
go.
kick it off, brother. Let's hear
Here we
it.
go. Listen, man. I know that really we do a lot of. We say that we're like a combat sports podcast, and I know that a lot of our conversation is really tuned towards the UFC, but that's at no fault, to our own, of our own. It's just that UFC is the best brand right now in combat sports, and they've got the most going on, and it just happens to be a crazy time for them, right? It's like every single week something
Every
popping.
week.
But today I wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about WWE because, as you guys know, just similarly to the UFC, WWE's been continuing even through the pandemic. At first, they were having shows over at the WWE Performance Center, which is kind of like their breeding grounds for, just newer wrestlers, up-and-coming guys, and also, their lower-tiered brand called NXT. So they really just lucked out. It's something that they built recently, maybe less than 10 years ago, and just happened to be a place.
It's like just like how right now the UFC has the PI. Yep. That's where they're holding all their events in Vegas. Yep. So it's like the same thing.
Yep. So, it's a performance center with all the equipment, and it just so happens that, they had the television equipment in there as well to be able to broadcast and things of that nature. So they've been hitting the ground running. Unfortunately, they had a little bit of issues with COVID-19 as well, with staffers and some WWE superstars. But they've been able to kind of navigate through that similarly to the UFC. But as many of you guys may know, WWE really is known for Monday Night Raw, which is Monday nights, and then Friday Night SmackDown. So it's two different brands right now. I know that back in the day it used to be one brand, and sometimes they do split, but it is what it is. But anyway, so, this Sunday, September 27th, is going to be their pay-per-view called Clash of Champions. Now, this is a pay-per-view that's been running for just about the last 10 years, and it is what it is in the name, right? Clash of Champions. So really every belt is at stake. Every belt is on the line. And I know that you guys really don't follow wrestling like that. So instead of just hearing me talk this whole time, I just want to kind of read the card off for you. And you guys will be surprised because, we're breaking down the fourth wall, right? Like you guys don't watch wrestling. You guys haven't watched wrestling in some time. But I'm going to read the name of the fighters for you guys, and you guys will be surprised. You may know some of these guys from like 10 years ago. So
the actors, you mean, right? Not the fighters, or the actors, right?
No, not fighters, WWE superstars.
The performers. Okay.
Hold on. You know what? I got a question.
My God.
Before we get into, I got a serious question. Before we get into the actual like nitty gritty of the card and who's fighting and whatnot, I think the UFC is kind of like really, really navigated the waters really well as far as the no fans go, right?
Yep.
Now with WWE, they are really, really predicated on entertaining the fans, right? Like their whole electricity comes from the live fans. How, especially for you, because you are the avid fan, how for you do you perceive like this whole, COVID-19 situation with no fans there? How does that really affect or not affect the live show?
Yeah, it's been the polar opposite of the UFC. So let's face it. And it's sad to say because let's face it, the UFC has really kind of like expanded tenfold through the pandemic, right? They kind of went from an obscure sport that really has been growing anyway, right? It's been growing anyway since the sale. But now, like they're getting in that territory where they're in the those four main sports in North America. They're kind of getting in that territory. And you can see that just because of like their branding deals with ESPN, things of that nature. I would say that WWE had the exact opposite effect. They've seen the last few weeks on Monday Night Raw and television in general have been their lowest rated shows in history.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
So like I know when they first came back, it was like they were doing everything like they normally do, like all their stuff. And everything's kind of built with like getting a reaction from fans and stuff like that, right? So like now that they're been through it for a couple months, do they have any kind of like I know they have virtual fans, right?
Yeah. Well, let
Do
me
they
kind
have
of
like
break.
any kind of sounds or anything? Like
Yeah,
any
let
kind of
me
like
break
just
you through the
to
Like the
make it?
process.
NBA and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'll break you
Yeah.
through the process. So early on in the pandemic, there were no fans in attendance, so it's pretty just like it was basically just quiet, right? And you could hear the action going on in the ring. So like
That's got to be super
the
strange.
grunting and like the noises and them talking to each other.
Them rehearsing and stuff.
And then
Wait.
and
Hold
then
on. When you say them talking to each other, do you mean like them literally going over like I'm
no,
doing
not
this
like calling
next?
shots, not calling shots or
Okay,
anything, but you could
okay.
hear them like trash talking each other or whatever. And then they transitioned over
Your
to
panties are
since
ugly.
since it's in the WWE Performance Center. They have kind of indie guys, like guys that are lower tier that are not on TV. And then they actually had them kind of as the crowd, as the audience. These are
Oh,
in-house guys. They're
That's
not
cool.
bringing family members in.
that's pretty cool. No, that's pretty
And
cool.
then since then, they transitioned over to a. Since then, it's important for you guys to know that they've already transitioned over from the UFC. I mean, from the WWE Performance Center to the Thunderdome in Florida. So now
Like
they're
Mad Max?
yeah,
I'm just joking.
they're actually in an arena now, and so what they
I've
did
seen like
was
some highlights of some stuff.
yes.
Yeah, I saw there.
So what they did was now they have like a sign up sheet for fans if you want to sign up and be a virtual fan at these events,
Oh,
at
no
Monday Night
way.
Raw or Friday Night
That's
SmackDown.
cool.
Now
Oh, that is cool.
that itself has had a little bit of issues because they had a guy in a KKK costume on a fan in the front row of the show.
Ridiculous.
They had another guy with
It was laundry day.
some Nazi symbols on his shirt. So it's been a little bit of a kind of everyone's getting used to this time. But
Yeah.
I think they've got a good program in order right now where they're kind of like scanning fans. They're making sure that you don't have anything crazy going on in your background. Obviously, you have all your clothes on because it's going to be on TV. So they have some sort of program now where they're scanning everyone, making sure everything's good.
You think that the NBA is doing that with their virtual fans? That's why they hadn't had much of an issue.
I'm not sure.
I mean, Lil
Honestly,
Wayne
I'm
was
not
smoking
sure.
a blunt on
But I would
camera. He
say,
got caught.
but I
Lil
would
Wayne.
say, but I would say the amount of the amount of WWE virtual fans that are in attendance is about 5-6 times what the NBA has. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like, they
wow,
have
really?
legit. They've got a lot of fans.
Oh wow.
So just to kind of
Yeah.
answer your question, Chris, I think it's had the kind of opposite effect of what the pandemic has had on the UFC. The WWE has seen their lowest ratings on television ever in history ever
Wow.
over the pandemic, and really just like you mentioned, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. It's just a product that needs fans.
Yeah.
Although they have been able to shoot some really cool movies because some of it hasn't been live, so they've been able to make some really cool matches, kind of like they've made them look like movies, like mini movies. The reality is, we need fans in attendance at these shows.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the business.
They just feed off of it
Yeah,
too much. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, look, like the energy you get from like fans for like, listen, I was a huge wrestling fan back in the day. Like, bro, when you would hear like Stone Cold's like walkout music, bro, like,
oh man, go
like,
crazy.
how could you not get
once you
hyped?
hear that glass shatter?
Not only that, but also
then,
like in WWE, the good guys, right? Like the faces, they're just as important as the heels. So the cheers are just as important as the boos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So somebody getting booed, people may think, man, people hate him, but the reality is, if you're getting booed,
that's all
you're
energy,
getting that attention, like that means you're a big deal.
Yeah, and
so,
like like think about like with The Rock when he would be interacting with somebody and he would say some funny ass comment, like the crowd laughs.
Oh
like,
man, go insane.
That's gotta be awkward because I mean I seen a short clip of the first comeback with WWE and it was like just like it looked like someone was rehearsing like a
I gotta
show.
assume it's gotta be feeling like a rehearsal.
So I'm sure now it's better. It's like is it a lot better now?
That's another thing.
When they go through their stuff, talking and things.
Another thing is, let's face it. I mean, no one's perfect. So when you have thousands of people in the room in attendance, you're able to get away with mistakes, But now, since there's no one in attendance, all the attention's on those two superstars or however many are in the ring, you get to kind of notice the mistakes a lot more now. You know what I mean? Instead of your attention being pulled away because of the crowd or the commentary. But it's been a learning curve. Obviously, no one was really prepared for the pandemic. We didn't know this was going to happen. I think WWE is just happy enough that they have a location where they're able to house these shows. They're able to fulfill their contracts because let's face it, a lot of this is predicated on organizations fulfilling their duties to these networks, right? Like they owe USA Network shows, they owe Fox Network shows, so they're putting that.
Well,
TV
that's what
on.
that's
and
why
they have
the UFC,
their own network as well, right?
Well, they have WWE Network as well, but it doesn't carry these shows. Like they have
Yeah.
independent contracts with USA Network.
Well, that's like with the
and
UFC.
Fox.
Like they had the I think they had three fights in like 11 days
On
a couple times and
Wednesdays, yeah,
stuff
they were
like
doing
that
the Wednesday
because
fights.
they had to catch up. They owe
Constantly.
ESPN
Yeah,
a
fights,
certain
yeah.
amount of fights.
Yeah.
So they have to hit
So-
that quota.
So really, that's
Go
what
ahead,
it
sorry.
is right now. So like, if I can just read the card to you guys.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Please give us the card. Let's run it down.
Yeah, I'll start off with just like I'll start off from the bottom to the top, so I'll kind of build up to the main event.
Yeah.
We're gonna
but
know every
It's
single name.
important for everyone to know that a big fight that people are excited about are the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Championships. They're on the line, and it's the Street Profits who are the current champions. They're going
Love
up
them.
against Andrade and Angel Garza. For the Women's Tag Team Championships, it's going to be a woman named Shayna Baszler, who some
Yeah, she used
MMA
to
fans,
fight her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to fight in UFC.
yeah, so
Yeah.
some MMA fans may be
Remember that
familiar
last
with her.
name.
So it's Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, who are the current champions, against the Riot Squad. Then we're moving on to the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, which is the men now. So it's Nakamura and Cesaro, who are the champs, against the Lucha House Party, which are kind of just like a play on luchadors.
I'm like DJs.
So, that's good. The United States Championship is on the line. It's going to be Bobby Lashley, who's the current champion. Some combat sports fans may know Bobby Lashley. I want to say he fought for Bellator, right, Jose?
Yeah, Bellator.
And actually pretty good in the octagon. I mean, in the Bellator ring. He's going up against Apollo Crews. Then we got a ladder match. So it's a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, and it's going to be Jeff Hardy, who's the current champion,
nice.
against Sami
Damn, still
Zayn,
going.
and AJ Styles. So that's a big
That
one
sounds
right
familiar.
there, right? You guys are familiar with Jeff Hardy. He's one half of the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Swanton Bomb, guy that
Yeah.
he grew up him jumping off of everything, Titantron,
The
jumping
Hardy
off the
Boys,
ladders.
man.
Yeah.
So cool stuff there. It's great to see that he's still around and he's top notch.
And he
Yeah,
can walk.
absolutely.
So then we got the Raw Women's Championship, which is going to be a woman by the name of Asuka, who's the current champ. She's fighting against Zelina Vega. This kind of has a backstory as well, and it's kind of it's going to settle the score for sure. And then the SmackDown Women's Championship is a girl by the name of Bayley, who's been really good. She's someone that WWE has built up through NXT, which is their farm system. She's going up against a girl by the name of Nikki Cross. And then we get into the two big belts, right? The two male big belts, which are the Universal Championship, which is Roman Reigns. He's the current champion. People may be familiar with him. He's related to The Rock, and just he's part of that lineage in Samoan wrestling. Also, 1/3 of one of the biggest factions in WWE history, which was the Shield. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with that. And then he's going up against his cousin, which is Jey Uso. He's one of the Uso brothers. They, like I mentioned, all part of that Samoan lineage that includes The Rock and The Rock's father and things of that nature, and people of that nature.
Rocky
They're
Maivia.
like the Gracies.
They're actually
wrestling.
Rikishi's sons. Rikishi has two twin sons, and they're going to be one of them is going to be fighting for the championship.
Do they wear
wow.
pants or do they got the little thong going?
They wear pants.
That wasn't a
They're
little
high
one.
flyers. And then the WWE Championship is going to be online. It's a guy by the name of Drew McIntyre, who's the current champion, and he's going to be fighting against Randy Orton. You guys
That's
are
such a
familiar with
boring
Randy Orton.
name.
Randy Orton has been around for years. He as well as was the youngest WWE champion, I believe, at a certain time, and I think the record was either broken by Brock Lesnar or something like that. And he's a third-generation superstar. So his father's a cowboy Bob Orton. So it's a big deal. Randy Orton is also known as the Legend Killer, so he killed off a lot of legends like Ric Flair. He ended a lot of careers, let's just say that. So it's a good shtick. These guys have been battling for a while. And as I mentioned, I kind of want to put a bow on this because I know that you guys really don't pay attention to WWE. But what I can say is it's a good pay-per-view because there's not a lot of filler matches here. Every belt's going to be on the line. And hopefully the WWE can bounce back from this. Once live fans are able to come back in. Luckily for them, Florida has been one of the looser states. I'm sure you guys know this, with guidelines and things of that nature.
That's where all the first, UFC's first events were.
Yeah.
So it's kind of why they're like top 3 as far as cases go, I guess. But
yeah. So hopefully they're able to bounce back. And as I mentioned, I mean, obviously I've been trying to put some really cool WWE graphics in my background the last few weeks. And listen, man, my goal and my dream would be for WWE to get back to the glory days, right? But I think they have a lot of work to do in regards to character building, there's not really a lot of characters out there right now. It's just everyone's coming out in spandex, and there's no characters, right? There's no like the Undertaker, or there's no Stone Cold, or there's no The Rock. It's just
That
not,
golden age.
not what it is right
It's
now.
tough. I mean, all those
But
guys
also
are
because
so
it's
unique.
PG now. But also it's PG now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's a different kind
I mean,
of
yeah.
brand out
Listen,
there.
we all know
Much more
those raw days would not
We're raw.
be okay right now.
Yeah.
They were
agreed.
wild.
So that being
But-
said, I mean, Clash of Champions is scheduled to take place Sunday, September 27th. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to be watching it for sure on WWE Network. And like I mentioned, hopefully WWE is able to bounce back from this and relive those glory days, right? Because, that's what every guy my age, or at least 25 and up at this moment, wants to see for their kids, especially if they watch WWE with their children.
Yeah, no, thank you for that review. I mean, look, we joke around all the time, but me and Jose, obviously, Raul, we grew up on this stuff, and it'd be really cool to see it get back to its, former glory. All right, great. So we got some news as far as Conor McGregor goes. We saw today that apparently it's in the talks that he is to be in an apparent boxing match against Manny Pacquiao. I told both of you this today. I don't want to see this. I will pay to watch it. Jose, why don't you kick this off, brother?
Man, I'm over these like crossover. Like, listen, the only crossover happened once. It was Mayweather and Conor. It happened at the perfect point. Conor was at the height of his fame, and Mayweather was still, relevant with boxing and stuff like that.
No, he
still
wasn't.
now. No, well, yes, he was. He was still.
He's just a big name. He's a big name, but he wasn't really relevant.
He was. Yes, he was. He was still.
Well, I would say
he was
Conor
undefeated.
too. Didn't Conor come off a loss for that, or?
No, that was after he beat
after he
That was after he beat Diaz.
Okay, cool.
Height of his fame. That's the only way.
Cool.
Listen, he's not losing and getting the fight Floyd Mayweather. It's not happening.
For full transparency, Jose, we were at the Mayweather McGregor
press conference
in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Crazy scene.
Actually, we were at the Eddie Alvarez and Conor press conference, and then we were also at. Yeah,
that was a coincidence that night, but yeah.
Look, it's just if I'll be honest, if it said it was a Canelo, it would make a little more sense. Canelo's a bigger guy. Pacquiao's very small, so I'm like, one thing is like, all right, so what's the weight gonna be? Because Conor just fought at 170, and I'm not sure how much Pacquiao fights at now. Like, I'm pretty sure he probably doesn't fight above 150. I don't think
145.
He does. So are they gonna have like a catch weight of like 150? And Conor hasn't fought at 155 since 2018 when he fought Khabib. So like, is he just all of a sudden gonna cut a bunch of weight? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, obviously Pacquiao's still doing his thing with boxing. He's still winning, matches and stuff like that. He's still beating guys. Conor's been, listen, he just won in January against Cowboy. And obviously with COVID, it killed everything. He said he was gonna do a season. He was gonna, he wants to fight 3 times this year. He said he wants to fight in like March, and and then fight for the title this month against Khabib. I'm honestly, I'd be honest, if this pandemic never would have happened, honestly, it probably would have happened.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'd rather see him just fight in MMA, man. I don't want to see him do boxing anymore. It was a great one-off with Floyd. Made a lot of money. Way too much money. $100 is way too much. But I don't want to see it. Like, I'll watch it, of course, because I mean, what the hell? Like, come on. I watch all fights, but
I mean, you watch Bellator.
I don't want to see it. Bellator's good.
Just joking.
I don't want to see it, man. Like, I heard, like, Canelo was having issues with the zone, and on his short list of fighters to fight was Khabib and Jorge Masvidal. I'm like, dude, what? First of all, Khabib's not even a boxer. Like, it's just
that's
like
the last thing.
And Masvidal just got beat.
Polished.
Yeah, I mean.
Now,
but I would say this. I would say just if I could touch on that real quick, Chris.
Yeah.
I would say that I think it's kind of like a joke, like Jose said. Like, I'm kind of over it, but I would say I think we need to prepare ourselves because this is what's to come. I think this is what's to come. I think that our obsession with nostalgia, our obsession with nostalgia has become so big that now you have people overseas in Europe and China that really want, in Asia, that want to pay for these fights.
Let me ask you though.
Now, but what do you mean by nostalgia? For who? For Pacquiao?
Wait.
So
let me ask
go ahead,
Jose.
Go ahead.
is this more on the boxing side, needing to get more hype from MMA?
I think so. I
No.
think so.
I
What does
think
MMA
so,
need?
man.
What push does MMA
Wait.
need, bro?
But look, think about it, because they're going after the big stars. So obviously, well, the whole Conor Floyd thing, different. Conor was the biggest star, blah blah blah. Right now, Pacquiao is still a big star in boxing, but I don't think everyone's like, oh my God, when the next
No, but in
Pacquiao
Not at
Asia,
all.
but in Asia and Europe, dude, he's a huge
yes,
star.
obviously
Bro.
I know that. But what I'm saying though, like, all right, like when I brought up Canelo, Canelo's list of fighters is two of the biggest stars
In
around
MMA.
right now, around the country in general, Jorge Masvidal and Khabib. So Canelo obviously is a big star in boxing, but like I think that they need some like rub, because right now boxing is not. There's not a lot of hype around
No.
boxing. That's
No.
my point. That's what I'm saying. Like there's not. So like I think they need some. Like look, bro, Jake Paul's fought. Jake and his brother Logan Paul fought on a professional.
YouTubers.
Yeah, they fought in
Yeah.
professional fights.
I mean,
Oh,
think about it. I mean,
isn't he
you're
about to
talking
fight Nate
about Mike
Robinson?
Tyson and Roy
Isn't he
Jones
about to
Jr.
fight
now.
Nate
Isn't that
Robinson?
insane?
Yeah. No,
Under
well,
the Mike Tyson card.
Jake Paul is apparently supposed to fight Nate Robinson, and Logan Paul. There's a rumor of him fighting Mayweather. So it's like, what is going on? Like,
Well, that's what I was
no,
mentioning.
It's a clown show. It's a
That's
clown
what I was
show.
saying. So I think that our obsession with nostalgia, partly because I see it in WWE as
But
well. Like
but from the boxing aspect, you're speaking.
But even so, like for example, I think also we're kind of trained with the idea that everything is all about America, but also it's important for us to remember, like, there's only 4% of the world's population in America. It's like 300 million people. So
well, how is it nostalgia?
These
These
markets
guys
in
are
Europe, these markets in Europe and in Asia are way bigger than American markets. So when I say nostalgia, I kind of try to pin it towards WWE. Like WWE recently has had a contract with Saudi Arabia, and really they've only been having dream matches over there. So that's where they had the Goldberg against Undertaker match last year.
Yeah.
They've been having like just random. They brought D-Generation X back together.
Oh wow.
They brought the Undertaker and Kane back together. So these are just nostalgia matches that are one-offs that are happening in Saudi Arabia, and it's strictly just for their money grabs.
But that's wrestling though. But like boxing, these are guys all at still competitive in their thing. Like,
no, but I would say
Canelo's
remember
at the top of his game.
Yeah, but I would also say remember, I think Mayweather recently fought an exhibition over there against a really skinny kid that like
I think he was a kickboxing
like,
champ or something like that.
And he looked way smaller. And I'm sure Mayweather probably made 9 figures, 8 figures for that fight. So I would say, I guess nostalgia is not the correct term to use, but I would say it has something along those lines. Like these fans in Asia are yearning to see these fighters. Like they really want to see these fighters live or in their location, in their home country, whatever the case is. And then they put the dollars behind it. And let's face it, we've seen this wouldn't be the first time that we've seen athletes make money moves.
You're right on that point with because the thing is like, all right, so obviously there was a big fight in Saudi Arabia with Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar right a while back.
And Tyson Fury
that was in Saudi Arabia.
Tyson Fury fought against Braun Strowman.
Was that not? Okay. And then there was Anthony Joshua and Ruiz. That was in Saudi Arabia. And then this fight apparently between Pacquiao and Conor is supposed to be in Saudi Arabia. So obviously I think it's them throwing their money to get these fights. So
Tyson Fury fought the WWE champion the same night that Cain Velasquez.
Oh yeah, that
Brock
was
Lesnar.
on that.
That was in WWE. That Tyson Fury.
Now let me ask you guys a question, right? With the whole situation with Dana White coming out and saying, we got fun plans for Conor, and then now exactly my point. Now we get this information that Conor is supposedly going to fight boxing against Manny Pacquiao. Do you think this is intertwined, or do you think it's just this happened to happen?
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, he said he had fun things lined up, and then it goes boom. There's Conor tweet about fighting Pacquiao. So I mean, obviously that's that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, like
because I heard some rumblings that people were even talking about a Nick Diaz matchup, which could be fun.
No, I'm done. I'm over it, man. I think that the whole Conor situation I don't think there's any chance to kind of recapture that lightning. Like I think he had his moment and now it's past.
Do you think this kind of messes up his legacy?
Of course, in my opinion, yeah. I think because I'm not sure if you know this, Chris, but Conor McGregor released private messages between him and Dana White on Twitter. So he released DMs.
I don't have social media.
And in those DMs, Conor is basically saying like, "Hey, he'll fight Diego," and then Dana literally tells him, "I will lose my promoter's license if I put that fight on." You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
So this is the same thing. This is what Connor's become, because right now we've got somebody that in public eye is saying, I want to fight Justin Gaethje, I want to fight Khabib. But let's face it, he had the opportunity right after Gaethje beat Cowboy, and then he chose Cowboy. Like, I don't understand. Like, we've never
It
even gotten
wasn't
an answer
right
for that.
after that. Like
It was right,
like
but I'm
it
saying
wasn't right after. It was
But
it
Jose,
was a little while. He never like no. I know what you're saying, but the thing is like he like went away. So like it wasn't like he like, oh cool, Cowboy lost to Gaethje, I'm gonna fight him.
no, but at that
Cowboy
point,
fought
I don't think
after
Gaethje had a
that.
fight. I don't think Gaethje had a fight. Gaethje
No,
was
Gaethje
fully
didn't
fightable.
have a fight.
Exactly.
No, listen.
So what I'm saying is
You could say clearly he avoided Gaethje because
facts.
that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because listen, I'm a Conor fan, so you don't fight. Probably he wasn't the number one guy at the time because I think Dustin was the number one guy. That was before they fought. He fights Gaethje, beats Gaethje, title shot.
For
The
sure.
thing is, Conor, all he has to do is fight one fight,
one big
and
name.
win.
Yeah, but not
Gets the
beating
title fight.
Cowboy or Diego Sanchez, bro.
No.
Well, no, and I'm not saying that. Look, I think I liked what he said when he fought Cowboy. He's like, I want a season. I want to fight one more time.
2-3 more times.
And then in September or fall, I want to fight Khabib. I would have liked that. I would have liked to see him fight one more time.
I thought that was genuine. I think
It felt
COVID
genuine.
messed it up.
It felt
COVID
genuine.
messed it up.
But
I think
I
COVID
don't,
messed
like
it
right
up,
now.
and we're talking about a guy that's bigger than the sport. So you can't put him without any fans. You lose millions of dollars in the gate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now,
so it's like,
now who do you think was the? Now you think it falls more on Conor for not fighting or the promotion?
I think it's got to be a shared. No. I think it has to be shared, right? Because the promotion, the promotion is going to provide you. The promotion is going to provide you with X, Y, and Z. Now, Conor says yes, no, yes, no. It depends on who it is, how hot they are, whatever the case may be. Money.
No,
fight
you got to
or
think
not.
of the business.
It's a
I'm
shared
talking about
thing,
business.
man.
Listen, they could offer him a fight, but
bro, they could. Bro, Conor
money.
could fight you right now, and it would sell out. It doesn't matter.
But I would say
exactly.
But what I would say is, I look at it from both ways. So I see what you're saying. It's not Conor's fault that he's bigger than the sport, but at the same time, I could put some blame on the UFC because let's face it, like
it's 50-50.
This is all about dollars, right? Like it's a business first. But I tell you what, they've made a huge leap during the pandemic. But imagine the leap you make if you put Conor on a fight during the pandemic. That's all eyeballs. Like they would have substantially.
You're not gonna have that live gate, but that pay-per-view is gonna be insane, bro. There was
and it's not even
how many times?
It's future fans. It's eyeballs.
Okay. So there was talks of Conor fighting Anderson Silva, where Anderson said, "Yep, I'll take that fight." There was plenty of fights that were set out there where you would say, you know what, this does nothing for the rankings, but I would absolutely see this fight. What happened? You talking about a Diego Sanchez? Come on.
I think the one fight they could have made during the pandemic, if it wasn't going to be him fighting a lightweight, the rematch with Nate would have probably been the perfect fight to do. It would have been its own headliner. It's the easiest fight to make.
But my concern is this. I'm gonna tell you guys my concern real quick. My concern is that we're gonna fall victim to a bunch of money grab fights when it didn't make any sense.
I don't want
so
that's what's been happening. It feels like it's heading towards that.
This is what's happening right now with Jorge Masvidal. Right? Instead of fighting Leon, instead of fighting Up, he wants to fight Nate. No one wants to see that. So my thing is, Conor's gonna go through the ranks. He's not gonna beat Pacquiao, like whatever, right? And then later down the line, he's gonna say, "Man, you guys really wanted to see that trilogy. Let me give you that trilogy." And we'll pay. Like, let's face it, we'll pay, right?
Like I said earlier, man, I don't want to see it, but I'll pay.
But you know that's gonna happen. Like down the line, there's gonna be those money grab fights. I wouldn't even be surprised if down the line he says, "You know what? I want to fight Paulie Malignaggi for what he said to me."
Oh God!
You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be surprised.
He might as well fight De La Hoya now
because
that guy don't got a job anymore, so he'll do anything for some money right now.
But what I'm saying is he's put himself in a situation where he's got money grab fights, and I'm just concerned as a fan that we're gonna have to pay the price on that.
Agreed. Jose, give us a last word, man, and let's jump over to the card we saw last week. All right, Jose. So just give us your final review on the discussion until we move on to the previous week's card. How do you feel about all this, man?
I'm over the cash grab fights. I mean, I get it. These guys want to make their money and stuff like that. I mean, and obviously Conor paid the wave with the Mayweather fight. I don't want to see him box anymore. I don't want to see any of these guys box. I mean, maybe that's me being selfish. I get it because, listen, the most money, probably Conor's going to make, I guess, probably would be fighting Manny, I guess. But
Yeah.
He'd probably make more money boxing, but I mean, like I don't know. Like I said, I brought it before. Like Canelo fighting Jorge Masvidal. That doesn't make any sense, man. Canelo is at the very best of one of the very best boxers in the world, and we're gonna have to throw in a guy. Listen, Masvidal. This is a hot take, and I think I've talked to this with Raul and you before. Like, I think he's a little overrated if you think about it. If you look at his record, hey, listen. Already, that's a hot take. So people are gonna come at me regardless, because all of a sudden everyone's a Jorge Masvidal fan out of nowhere.
Exactly.
He's not.
Oh yeah, I've followed them forever. No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
Dude, he knocked out Till. He knocked out Till, and then he beat a Askren that turned out not to be the legit guy.
The Till fight was his best win.
Oh yeah, that was
Askren, and then he beat Nate Diaz. Oh shit, he's the best. He's the best fighter in the UFC. What are we talking about? Look at Usman's record. Look at Usman's record. I'm getting a little mad right now, but like, bro, listen, Usman is boring. He's got his personality's not great.
He's dominant.
He's the best welterweight there is. Him and Colby Covington are the best welterweights right now in the game.
Yeah.
It is a fact. Yeah. You'll see what I said, because Diego Lima and Bellator is great, but
you know what?
No more cash grabs. No more cash grabs. That's it.
That's a really good answer, and that's a really good segue into what we're going to speak about next, which is which was last week's card, which was headlined by Colby Covington and Tyron, no longer T. Woodley. Raul, kick us off, man. We had a lot to digest in this card. Everything about this card was really fun, really good fights, except, in my opinion, the main event, just out of everything, was probably the least deliverable fight, I guess, of the card. So kick us off, brother.
I'll start off right away with that the Holland and Stewart fight. I think we kind of were split on this. I think Chris, you might have gone for Darren Stewart. I think
I went for Stewart. Yeah.
Obviously, Holland's somebody that's been making a name for himself, especially during the pandemic. I think he's probably up there with the rest of the roster on guys that have taken the most fights during the pandemic.
It was like 3 times in 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was his third fight, and I'll spare the listeners kind of an overview of the fight, but let's just put it this way: it was a scrappy fight, and Holland wasn't happy with himself at the end of the fight. In my opinion, it was a split decision. In my opinion, Darren Stewart won that fight. It's just one of those things where you never know what the judges are going to see, especially in boxing and at the UFC level. So you don't want to leave it in the judges' hands, but sometimes I think that they mess up, and I think this might have been one where Darren Stewart I don't know if it was a robbery, but when your opponent at least is frustrated and believes he didn't win, that says something.
Yeah, he told Dana that he thought he lost that fight, and Dana said, listen, hey, we don't judge the fights, man. You won.
So then and then we moved right on to that Mackenzie Dern fight. Jose, I don't know if you want to kind of get into this one. I know Marcos was coming in with a kind of ugly record, but we still said that
very scrappy
dog in this fight.
Yeah, Marcos has been in division since it got started. She came off the tough season, and she's fought literally all of the best strawweights. So, I mean, her record's not amazing, but when you fight the best in your division nonstop, listen, either you're going to win or lose. So, I mean, the thing with this fight was, listen, what we all know what Dern is good at, right? She's amazing at jiu-jitsu. So why did she go down to the ground with her?
She didn't pull guard.
It just I get it. Marcos is she's a bit of a wrestler herself and stuff like that, but she should have done whatever she could, just keep it on the feet. You can't listen. The girl, Dern won medals, I think, at ADCC, which is the most probably prestigious grappling tournament there is in the world. She's medaled off that. She beat Gabby Garcia, who's huge, probably as big as freaking Brock Lesnar. And she's a small
I saw
girl
that.
herself.
You were the one that told me about that, actually.
It's insane. She beat her in jiu-jitsu. It's just anyone she gets on the ground, she's gonna probably finish. But who she didn't beat was Amanda Rivas. Gonna get her to that ground.
But no. Don't worry, guys. Ribas about to take a L real soon when she fights Carla Esparza.
Yeah, she's gonna finish her. But now back to listen. Dern is she's looking amazing, man. She had a baby. She came back. She came back in better shape than she ever was.
Yeah, which was amazing.
She looks like she's legit. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they'll give her like a highly ranked opponent next, but I think they're gonna start really trying to test her now. I think her next fight is probably gonna be against like a top contender. I think maybe Michelle Waterson. But I know she's just coming off. Oh no, she won. So
she
maybe
won.
that actually yes.
Well, the judges said she won. Same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought she won.
I thought Hill won, but whatever.
I thought
Michelle Waterson won.
But I think that would be a good matchup right there, man. I think that would be. Yeah. They're both two fighters who are I think highly marketable. Michelle Waterson has a good following, stuff like that. And I think Dern is someone who can probably if she were to fight, I think she can make a big name off herself. She also would beat Waterson.
Also, two moms, right, Jose? Two moms.
Yeah, two moms.
That's
so
right.
I think that's a big deal too. When we're talking about marketing and we're talking about the fact that women deal with a lot, and to see them.
We spoke about this last week.
Yeah, see them get birth and come back.
Waterson wants to be the first mom champ. Guess what? Benny Nunez had her baby today. Mom champ.
That's right.
I know.
That's right. That's right. I saw that as well. Congratulations to them. That's amazing.
So Chris, I'll pick up on the next one. The next fight on the card was Johnny Walker against Ryan Spann. Last week, we talked about the major implications in this fight. Chris, I don't know if you want to give us an overview on that fight, but
that was really interesting. I had chosen Walker to win the fight. I thought that his back was against the wall. I thought that if he didn't win this fight, it would be huge to the point where I think he could have gotten cut. Walker got rocked really early because Ryan Spann is a tank. I mean, he's a walking house, right? Johnny Walker, sucked it up, got back, got the W. Wasn't the prettiest of wins, but it was very, very gritty. He came back, faces adversity, some major adversity, and got a really, really nice win against a really tough opponent, man. I thought this was a really, really good win for him. And you didn't see none of the shenanigans that you saw in the last 2 or 3 fights. You saw him, just kind of really come correct, right? And I think that's the biggest thing with him. He got kind of full of himself, I thought, before, and I think he got humbled way too many times. And he saw what was on the line, and he got the W, man. It was impressive.
Yeah, I think keyword there, impressive. It was an impressive stoppage. I think he saved himself, and so impressive that not only did he save himself, but I think he kind of threw himself in the mix again after that one win.
Yeah,
I think with this fight, it showed that he was resilient. Like, cause listen, that fight looked like it took place in Water Stadium, bro. It was a wild fight. They were just throwing hands. But like, I he got hit clean. I mean, and he almost got knocked out. Like,
and hold on. I'm sorry. For context, Water Stadium is where we all used to fight.
Not me. Not me.
Just for people who don't know. But
not me. I'm an angel. Never fought.
He brought the Bible and prayed for everybody.
Yeah. But it was I don't know, man. So we talked about how he was with TriStar, but we were wrong. He's actually training in Straight Blast Gym in Ireland now.
He's with John Connor's team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So obviously he learned his striking from Connor, I guess. But I don't know, man. I know he's calling out Anthony Smith. I guess that's actually a good matchup because
it's a smart call out.
Smith is coming off losses. He's in a rough spot. I think he's 2-0 now.
Three in a row he lost, I think?
I think it might be 3 in a row. I'm not too sure. I forgot.
3 in a row, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it might
is it John Glover?
And then
I think
Rubich, no? Who did he fight last? I don't remember.
Oh, Rakic.
So it's 3 in a row.
Damn, I'm a beast, bro.
Yeah.
You said Rubich. That's not a name.
Yeah.
I was close enough.
Yeah.
You should have just said nothing.
Yeah. It's ranking wise, it's a good matchup. I think that's a good fight. Like, he shouldn't call for anyone higher. I think this is the second gym he's training at in his last couple of fights. Like, he needs to find the right gym for him and just focus on his career. Yeah. I mean, I think he is doing that, but when you jump from gym to gym, I don't think it's gonna go well for your,
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah, especially going right now and training in gyms that when there's a whole worldwide pandemic going on, I'm sure the training is tough. So I mean, he won the fight. It's hard to say if he looked amazing. He almost got knocked out.
I wouldn't say amazing, but like you said, resilient is a good word.
Yeah,
I think
And I was just gonna say, I think he proved that he could stop people at that high level. I mean, Ryan Spann was no slouch. Came in on a big winning streak, and was impressive that finish, man. I think he can hang with the best of them, but he does have to build himself back up.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't think anyone questioned his offensive game. I think more it's a defensive game. Like, listen, when he lost to Corey Anderson, I mean, no one thought that he was going to get knocked out by Corey Anderson, and he got finished by him. And I think listen, I think he's in a good gym. I thought TriStar was a great gym too. So I mean, maybe something there in the work, but I'm hoping that SBG is the right gym for him, and he really kind of takes the next step in his career. I think the Anthony Smith fight's a good fight. I don't think Anthony Smith should take it. It's high risk, I guess high reward, but you really, it's not going to get him back in the title contention. I mean, but I don't know where he's at.
But it could headline a fight night.
It can be. So it can get him probably can get another good payday, get him another headline spot. I just think it's a risky fight for him.
No, agreed.
Listen, but Smith has all the skills in the world, great jiu-jitsu, great grappling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't showed it in his last couple fights, but
I think he's in his own head more than anything as of late. I mean, losing, dropping 3 in a row is not easy on anybody. Look at, Tyron Woodley. I mean, it gets to you mentally, right? I mean, it really does wear on you. So with that being said, let's move on to the next fight, which was, if I'm not mistaken, Chimaev versus GM3. And I don't know about you two. I was thoroughly shocked. Was never expecting it to go that way. And I mean, GM3 was a step up in competition, right? Last week I said, the 2 gentlemen that he beat in back-to-back competition, not necessarily that they were slouches, but were they, the cream of the crop, right? And GM3 was that step above. Now, me playing devil's advocate, was that step above a huge step above, or was it just, where does that stand? Because, man, wow, what a performance by that gentleman. He is just an animal.
It wasn't a performance. It was one punch.
Yeah.
He just,
you know what? You're right.
You're right. It's hard.
It was similar. The moment felt similar to
Don't say Conor and Aldo. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It did, man.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It did, dude.
Conor knocked out Jose Aldo, the greatest champion of that time, with one shot.
But it felt similar, man.
To get the belt.
I get what he's saying.
But Chris, I think from what I'm saying is not necessarily on the resume of the fighters, but I'm talking about the pressure, right? Being in your own head.
You can't.
That was
you can't
impressive,
compare.
man.
It's a title fight, facing one of the greatest of all time.
But again, I get what he's saying, because I think, listen.
I do too, but you just can't compare.
I was at work. I had it on my phone. I was looking at it, and as soon as he landed that knockout, I stopped in my tracks. I was like, holy shit.
I was never expecting that, bro.
What?
I was never
one punch?
expecting that.
Bro,
No.
And again, when Conor knocked out Aldo, crazy. No one expected Conor to knock out Aldo in 14 seconds. No one expected that. So I get what he's saying.
Agreed.
So, like, when he hit
the magnitude, completely different.
Look, Raul, I'm a Conor
know.
fan. It sounds like
know,
Conor. It sounds like Chris is like going super Conor right now. But
I don't know,
it's for the championship belt against the greatest of all time in the division. How can you compare it?
How the knockout felt.
I
get that. That's not what I'm debating.
Pressure. Yeah, I'm talking about pressure and trying to live up to expectations. He surpassed expectations.
Agreed.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, does he have that kind of like? Is he out of here? Does he skyrocket?
But the crazy thing is,
I don't know.
Yeah.
He says he's a true welterweight. He just fought at 185 and knocked out a real 185er who is Gerald Mearshart
too.
Gerald has good wins. He has good wins.
No, he's a legit. He came on a winning streak,
and he knocked him out one punch. Like, again, no one saw that coming. I think everyone said that he was just gonna out-grapple him probably.
Yeah.
I know at first they were talking. So they booked him against Mearshart, and then they had a tentative fight against him and Maya. That fight's out the window. They're not giving him Maya anymore. Now they're gonna look to hold him back to fight in November, and then a main event card. His own.
I heard something about possibly Woodley. Is that true?
No, that wouldn't make any sense.
No.
I heard that for the name.
No.
I think you're.
I think they
where do
said
you get your
Wonder
news
Boy.
from?
They said Wonder Boy. No, like
Dana White called me.
he's beefing
Yeah.
with Wonder Boy.
I
right now.
saw Wonder Boy too.
Okay.
I could see him taking that fight.
So he called out Wonder Boy because Wonder Boy called out Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
Personally, Leon Edwards,
He called
Wonder
out
Boy,
Kamaru
love
too,
that.
didn't he?
Yeah, but
he's
he's
calling out
not-
everybody. He's calling out everybody.
That's what I mean. He's calling.
Yeah, I think he called out Ronda Rousey too.
Travis Brown.
I think honestly, I think the fight to make that would make sense. And is his name's gonna be the hype. I think him versus George Neal. Jeff Neal.
Jeff Neal.
That's the perfect fight to make because Jeff Neal has been getting he hasn't gotten the respect he deserves at 170.
Or
that's
he's
why he
what,
knocked
number
out
9 or something like that? Number 7?
I think he's like number 11. I think
he's
that's
11.
a great
I thought he was
fight to
higher.
make because he's a legit fighter.
Or
Got a
Chiesa, bro.
ranking.
How about Michael Chiesa?
I don't think Chiesa wants that fight. I don't think he'll take that fight. I don't think
he wins that fight.
I don't think so either. I think that the Jeff Neal fight is the perfect fight to make because he could test his skill against someone who's got some no one knocks out Mike Perry. Jeff did that in the first round. Head kick.
Yeah.
Finished them.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Very
a perfect fight to make. It's someone with a ranking, someone who's got great skills, and it'll be a perfect spot for both of them. So if Jeff Neal, who hasn't been getting a shine with with what he's done at 170, it'll give him the pub. So if he wins, sets him up to get a big fight. I think personally it's either that fight or I would say maybe Luque. I think Vicente Luque is another guy at 170
that would be
who's
amazing
welterweight who
dude.
does not get the shine he
bro,
deserves.
if he beats Vicente,
Listen, Dana White,
bro,
give me a job, bro. Give me a job, Dana. I got you.
Luque might put hands on him, bro. I like Luque.
Bro, Luque hasn't been in a less than fight of the night fight ever, bro.
Luque might put hands on him, bro.
Yeah. I think
Vicente
those
Luque
are
is a
the
monster.
best two fights to make. Two guys
That's a good scrap,
and
man.
amazing.
Man,
Yeah, listen,
I'm a huge
Dana
Vicente
White,
fan, bro.
I got you. Give me a job. I'll run, UFC out of Perth Amboy.
Just crazy. But
all right, so now we spoke about that, right? Great, that's good. All right, so we got what was the co-main event, which was what Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Nico Price. This was
interesting.
Man, it was interesting to say the least. It was fun. It was controversial. It was disappointing in a way. It wasn't in a way. It was funky, man. We had eye poke city in this fight. Donald came out and he fought well for what the fight was. I had a Cowboy winning because of everything he was saying, the way he looked, his aura. He came out very slow, like he always does, which I wasn't expecting, but should have expected because that's kind of what he does. Nico was throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at him, and Donald withstood it, man. It was unbelievable to see him withstand all that. And Jose said it earlier, and I think it takes precedence here: resiliency. Cowboy showed resiliency, man. Eye pokes and all. He fought a good fight, and it was a draw. Jose, what do you think, man?
So I didn't get to see this fight because I was working last week. That was like one of the fights I wasn't able to, not do my job at work. So I saw the first round. So I saw like a couple minutes of it, and bro, I was watching 2 minutes of it, and I saw what Nico was doing to Cowboy, was lighting him up. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. This is gonna end in the first round. And then I put my phone away, and then I looked back. I saw it was a draw. I was surprised. I was like, damn. So like he like, yo, like everything I saw what Nico was doing, I was like, bro, there's no way this lasts the first round. And I saw clips. I saw some clips of Cowboy doing well. So I mean, one thing I was worried about with Cowboy, I thought this was a bad matchup because listen, Nico's a wild dude.
Yeah, you said it from the beginning. You didn't like this fight.
Yeah, listen, I think this was the best case scenario for him because I didn't think he was going to win. And from everything what I've heard and read and seen people say, he didn't win. And the draw, it was only a draw because Nico lost a point for
it was because of the eye poke.
Yeah, so I mean, and Cowboy said it. He said he said he thought he lost. He's taking it as a loss, and he's really got to take some time off. And he says he's going to take some time off and refigure things out. I don't think he looked terrible from what the clips I saw of him.
No, he didn't.
I just think it was a terrible matchup for him. So I don't know what's left for him to do. Whether to stay at 170, which I don't think he should. I think he should stay at 155. But he's getting older. The weight cut's tough. I mean, it's 15 pounds gap. It's it's a lot. It's a lot of weight. Nico Price, man, I think that he's another guy. Is just he's insane, man. He's a great fighter.
Doesn't he remind you of like the new age cowboy in a sense?
In a way, I would say this might sound a little wild. I would say a little bit like Carlos Condit, just the striking factor. Like
Even better. You're right. Even better.
Just everything. Throws everything at you.
Yeah.
Just a wild dude. I think he's still up and coming. But I'm telling you, I think you put him right. Listen, the last fight against Luque was an amazing fight, and Luque, finished him. But
man,
I think anyone that fights Nico Price is not in for an easy fight, and I don't think he's an easy victory at all. So I mean, I think I would like to see him get a ranked opponent next. I think he's kind of earned that.
Yeah.
See, I know they said he wants to run it back. There's no reason to run it back. We all know
that's more about pride, I think, and respect than it is anything else.
It's also important to know. It's also important for people to know that at the post-fight press conference, Dana White was asked about that fight, and he said he thinks it's time to have that conversation with Donald.
Yep.
So curious to see what happens. What comes from that conversation. Does Dana tell him?
Donald already said he's not going to retire.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I know you guys kind of saw it a little differently than I did, but I think Cowboy's done, man. That I think the eye poke saved him. It bought him some time.
No,
but Nico
100%.
was really piecing him up, man. And I think he's done, man. I think he's had a hell of a career. I think he's had a great career. I think that he's one of these guys that, as I mentioned last week, I don't know if he made the full transition. I think he could have been great on the mic as a commentator. But
he's never done that. It's not something.
I don't think that he wants that.
One of the guys that has a personality outside of especially in times where we always complain about like Reebok making guys like everyone look like a certain person, like they're all cookie cutter. He's one guy that has kept his personality. Yeah. But I would say he's got little babies. So I would say, man, take care of those kids, man. Make sure that you're whole as a person when you're taking care of those kids. It may be time.
It's strange for me that you bring up him working as a commentator. We've never seen anything like him doing that. He said
but you know what? It's more because he's a company man.
No, but I think it's different.
He doesn't even watch fights. He doesn't watch fights. He doesn't watch fights. Like, why would he be a commentator?
You're right. Well, because he's so intellectually smart, and he's such a UFC guy. Everybody knows who Cowboy is. So it's like it makes sense for the name. But you're absolutely right, Jose. We've never heard of this. He's never showed interest, and he still doesn't show interest. But it's just, I think more it's the name of it. It's the knowledge he carries. And it would make sense in the long run for him, obviously.
I would like to see him be a coach. I like to see him be a coach. I think
he is. He is. He does coach some fighters now at the BMF range.
But he doesn't coach. He's not in anyone's corner.
No, not in the corner. No, not in the corner. Not yet.
I think what he's got going on.
I think he could do it for sure.
With the ranch and stuff like that, I think that's more his speed. He wants to have fun. He likes training and stuff like that. He says he's not gonna retire. If he was to retire, personally, I think after the Conor loss would have probably been a better fight to retire to, even though it was a bad loss. You can say, listen, he went out and he retired after the biggest fight of his career.
I wish they would have gave him that Pettis win, because I freaking just wholeheartedly believe he won that fight, man.
Yeah,
if he would have won that fight, he could have retired. Yeah, agreed. Me too. He could have retired then, and it would have been just beautiful, bro. But now it's shaky. It's a little bit of a weird situation, and I know you guys are excited to see what happens with him, as far as whether he's going to fight, whether he'll move on, or whatever the case may be. But I mean, more to come, right? So now moving on, we had Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington, the main event. This was Bad Blood City. This was just past training partners, and they had a rapport with each other, and this was all the makings of fight of the year. Didn't pan out to be that at all. Ro, take us away, man.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this conversation, I think we definitely acknowledged the fact that Tyron Woodley was kind of not only getting up there in age, but also hasn't looked the greatest in the last few fights since losing the belt to Kamaru Usman. Obviously, the fight to Gilbert Burns was a sweep as well. And I think that, Woodley was kind of at a moment where he was at that fork in the road. And who knew? But at the same time, as you mentioned, the bad blood in this fight made it so that a win over Colby could kind of
propel him right away.
Propel him right into that conversation once again. But this fight really, like you mentioned, was one-sided. I mean, I think we're going to discuss this in a little bit as well, as in regards to kind of the buildup. But from a fighting standpoint, from a strictly fighting standpoint, he didn't look anywhere near the same class as Colby in there. He didn't belong in the octagon with Colby. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about the finish and say that might have been controversial, like there was an injury in place.
Fight, man.
But the reality is, you know, Woodley was down 4-0 and actually 5-0 at that time. And some of those could have been 10-8. So I don't really know. I didn't get a chance to look at the actual final scorecards, how they were scored up until that point. But Woodley definitely didn't belong in the same octagon as Colby that night. And I think that this leads to a kind of bigger conversation on both ends. What happens with Woodley now? Like, does he retire? Is it over for him? Or is he, like you mentioned before, mentioned last week, does he become a stepping stone for these newer fighters, someone like Kazmat? And then we talk about Colby, right? Colby, a guy that obviously is a lot better than a lot of the other guys in that division, but has lost to the champion. So, you know, I think it's interesting. And yeah, I mean, Jose, I don't know if you have any other any points in regards to that fight, but obviously a bit of a, you know, you hate to see that kind of build up, but it's just the times that we live in right now. But in regards to fighting and actually the job at hand, Colby definitely took care of business.
Yeah, so not to brag, but I'm pretty sure I picked the main event last week, 100% right.
Well, I think my heart wanted Colby to win, but
yeah, well, that's why I asked that question to you guys, because we all know it. We all wanted Woodley to win, but deep down we knew. Listen, look, he showed more in this fight than he did against the last two fights, but that's not much because he didn't really throw anything against Burns. He didn't really, you know, and it was probably even worse against Usman. You know, the thing is, this fight's a little bit more difficult to kind of gauge than the Burns fight because Woodley was the best fighter that Burns had fought. So we still don't really know where Burns is at because Burns hasn't really beat any top 5 opponents besides Woodley.
Yeah.
Woodley was ranked number 1 at the time.
He wasn't even Woodley at the time.
Yeah, this is a clearer fight to show that how just dominant Colby is. Listen, it's 1 and 2 in the welterweight division. Usman and Colby. Listen, politics withstanding, Colby is the only guy that has a potential as a chance of beating Usman. It's just a clear fact. I think right now you can listen. The top three name.
Well, I don't know if I say that, Jose. I don't know because we still got to see. We still got to watch the Gilbert. We still got to watch what's up with Gilbert.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes. So we'll see how that fight goes. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna pick Usman to win that fight. We'll never know. But like just like listen, I think it's clear to like what we've seen so far from all these fighters that Colby is just next. He's above everyone in the division, and it's clear.
Yeah.
I think the dark horse also would be Leon Edwards. We have to see him fight.
Edwards.
You know, I would have liked to see Leon Edwards versus Gilbert Burns, but I mean, obviously, what Burns did against Woodley earned that title shot. He deserves it.
Domination.
He gets that. Yeah. I think with Woodley right now, man, I don't know where to go with him. I know I said I think maybe Cowboys should retire. I think it's weird with Woodley because Woodley's lost to now basically the top 3 guys in the division.
Top 3 guys,
So he's fought nothing but A1 competition. So it's like, okay, he hasn't looked great against. He's lost basically 15 rounds in a row. Was finished at multiple 10 rounds. But where is he to go now? Because listen, let's be real. Anyone in that top 5 probably will beat him. If he's gonna take another fight, it's got to be against someone against. You know, he's fighting soon. Carlos Condit. I think he's actually fighting a fight out. I'm pretty sure. Honestly, that would have been a good fight to make, man. Someone with a legendary name
just
like
a fun
Condit.
Fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with Willie now. I mean, he could probably fight lower ranked guys at welterweight, but the thing is,
Jose.
But then he puts himself in a spot of being the stepping stone. That's the thing. I don't think he wants to do that. Because I know he has all the confidence stuff it shows, but it's not showing in the octagon.
Physically, yeah. So let me ask you a quick question, right? So I've heard rumors that apparently a good move for him would be to go up to 185.
No, I think his problem is he can't let go right now. I don't know if he needs to switch his trainer. I don't know what's happening with T-Wood right now.
Because you know what? Physically, he looks strong. He looks good. But he's just very hesitant. Let me tell you something. The first 2 minutes of that fight, he looked he looked like he was about to have a coming out party and kind of be, the chosen one. The moment he got, taken down, that went out the window.
I know he tore his labrum. I know he tore his labrum, and he had a bunch of injuries. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But like I mentioned, man, he's got this he's hesitant. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't let go.
His coach Dean Thomas said he had a very good quote about it. He was like, "Listen, when you're a young fighter, you're someone who you're always going to kind of go for the kill. You want to bring that action, and then when he says like when you get older." He's like, I think he said, when you're younger, you want to kill your opponent. When you get older, you just want to have a beer with them and chill. Like, maybe that's it. I mean, listen, Woody's not young. He was the oldest, like, reigning champion at the time, like, for his division, for welterweight. Not like, obviously, Randy Couture was like the oldest champion I think there was. But like, as a welterweight, which is a division of just nonstop killers in their primes, Woodley had the belt at the oldest age that there was in that division. So, I mean, that should say a lot. And, I just think that maybe he was at his peak at that time, got the belt, had some great fights. And then, now it just might be time. It's, I guess Father Time is just knocking at the door for him. Is just, showing that, listen, these younger guys just got it, and he may be losing a step. Because, listen, like Raul said, it is literally he's not throwing. And listen, he was never really always the most active guy, but like there was still some aggression to it. Like you saw aggression. Yeah. You don't see that anymore. You just see him kind of just like circling around and stuff like that. And listen, Colby, his game plan was amazing. Yeah, it wasn't like the most like amazing fight to watch, but like if you're a pure fight fan, you enjoyed that fight because listen, his striking was on point. The pressure. The landing kicks and the body kicks and stuff like that. He kept going to the body a lot. I think that might play a factor too. He just looked amazing, man.
His rib was broken, so it's got to factor into something.
Listen, I mean, I think they said that possibly could have broken his rib or whatever he did. Because when he went for the guillotine and he was going so hard and he's like his body's so tight, and then something like tricked when he like came out, whatever. But listen. Stoppage was not controversial. He was going to lose the fight regardless. He was heading to another 10-8 round. I don't know how many 10-8 rounds he's had in these last 3 fights. He's lost 15 rounds in a row, which is insane.
Yeah, very clearly too.
But what I would say is, Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz have been doing a lot of talking about these guys that go just straight for your crotch. If there's any division in the UFC that is that not standing bang, going to grab you, it's that division right there. Usman, Gilbert Burns. I think I don't see like any flashy finishes in that division.
Yeah, listen. Ben Askren. I mean, listen. Masvidal had the 2 flashiest knockouts in a while. The knockout till, which was an amazing knockout, and
but I mean from the fighters in that top 5, top 5, top.
Oh
10.
yeah, I mean, listen. Usman's last finish was the Colby, and then before that, I can't think of anything. I think it might have been Sergio Moraes when he knocked him out. So I mean, I don't think he's like submitted anybody in a while. A lot of decisions. I mean, listen,
it's wrestling. It's wrestling heavy. It's grappling heavy.
Again, look, the thing is, the guys hate each other and they're polar opposites, like personality wise, probably, but Usman and Colby are so similar in their style and how they fight. They are. I think Usman's probably got more power, I would say.
Colby's probably a better striker though, overall.
I just hope that Dana White really steps up and does right by Leon Edwards, because we talked about boxing a little bit before. Dana's always the guy that makes the fights happen. He makes sure that the best are fighting the best. Let's not overlook Leon, man. So I think he's earned his way there. To be fair, Leon was offered the title fight before Burns was. For Fight Island.
But he didn't want to travel.
Well, no, it wasn't that. Because he couldn't train because England, wherever he lives,
they were shut down.
They were open. So he would have probably had like a 2-week camp. If that, if he can even he would have no way to training. So it just wasn't right. So unfortunate for him, and it sucks right now because the thing is, I've kind of been hating on Masvidal this podcast. Masvidal should fight. There's two people he should fight: Colby or Leon Edwards. If you want to get a title shot, rematch, whatever, you have to fight one of those guys. You can't fight Nate Diaz. What? No,
that does nothing for the ranking.
You already you beat him already. Nate's
pretty soundly.
He's got what? In his last like five fights, he's probably got 2 wins. Like, no,
Maybe.
dude. Like, yes, he has a big name, but like, what's the point? You beat him already, and regardless of a bad stoppage, you were gonna he was gonna win that fight. He's probably gonna win that fight 5-0. No, dude, fight these top contenders. Like, that's how it needs to be. I'm tired of all these money grab fights, man. Like, he's got to fight one of those guys. Leon deserves a big fight.
That falls on Dana, though, at the end of the day, Jose. Falls on Dana to fix it. He's got to fix it.
It does. You're right. No, and listen, look, I like the UFC. I can't defend a lot of things they do.
My man said like.
Look,
you know you love the UFC, buddy.
Yes. They put on great stuff. But the thing is, I get frustrated with them too, dude. Like, you don't think listen, there's a lot of stuff we talk about today that the UFC could have done. Listen, Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson, that's a fight that should happen. There's no stop being cheap, give them the money. They deserve it. They're the 2 best lightweights in the division after Khabib and Gaethje. But the thing is, look, man, it's these fighters too, man. Jorge is not going to fight either one of those guys because his managers won't allow him. His managers want him to fight Nate Diaz because, listen, they know where the money's at. The money is fighting with him. Because the thing is, I'll tell you right now, and I hate to bring this up, there is a lot of heat between Colby and Jorge, but I think it would be a bigger fight if they had opposite politics. They're the same. They're both Trump supporters, and I think I don't think that I think the heat between them just like they don't like each other. It could be its own pay-per-view, but I don't think that Jorge's team is gonna let him take that fight. They're gonna probably push for honestly, I would bet money his next fight is gonna be Nate Diaz or Wonder Boy. I'd say that now because before he fought Usman, he was saying those are the fights he was gonna do next anyway.
He wanted to run it back with Wonder Boy,
Yeah, but look, I think Leon right now should just. I know Wonder Boy's been calling out, accept that fight. Wonder Boy's a top 5 guy. He's fought for his belt twice. Leon needs a big statement win because his last statement win was RDA and Cowboy, and both of them are kind of falling on hard times. Yeah, he's got to fight somebody. He's got to fight someone top 5 in the division. Get your name out there, stay relevant, and listen. He's one fight away from the title shot himself. And I'm sorry for the rant I went on right now, guys.
What a shocker, Jose on a rant.
So that really summed up the fight, the card in Vegas last week. And if we could kind of just shift our attention, I know that was a lot of information, but now as we look forward, we got a big treat coming up in UFC 253, headlined by Israel Adesanya up against Paulo Costa from Brazil. Obviously 2 undefeated guys in that middleweight division. And yeah, man, I'm really excited about this one. I don't know if you guys want to I don't know how you guys want to attack this card. I don't know if we start off at the bottom of the card or it's up to you.
I mean, if I could, I said a few times that I think Izzy and Paula is going to be the fight of the year. It has all the makings for it. I mean, it's going to end up being, I think, everything that you expected Yoel and Izzy to be. Paulo Costa's fighting style is just pure aggression, power moving forward. Meanwhile, Yoel is more of a power counter striker, right? So I think Izzy is, world-renowned kickboxer. His striking is unreal, all angles, and you just can't train for him, right? But Paulo has this unbelievable power, man, and you saw what he could do as far as giving and taking shots when he fought Yoel Romero, which was an absolute amazing fight. One of the best fights I ever seen, hands down. Nobody withstands Yoel's punches, and he just went forward against him, man, and it was unreal. I just don't see how Izzy could take excuse me, that pressure and power.
Can't be coughing like that, bro. Not these days.
Sorry.
Put your mask on.
Sorry, I don't know where it is. I don't see how Izzy can take those shots and that pressure. Once Costa just You know what he's going to do. He's going to come forward. And you know what? Taking it further, I think Costa has a better ground game. He's more accomplished as a BJJ practitioner than than Izzy is. So I think Costa really has everything, skill wise to get
He's
this
very
W,
lucky
man.
too, right?
He's a handsome bastard, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the face-off after the weigh-in, I believe, or
Yeah,
where
I saw it.
Paulo wore his black belt to the face-off, and then
Jose
brought
showed
a
it to me.
white belt. He brought a white belt for Israel. So I don't
And I
know if
pissed him off.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means like he's ready to grapple with him, or if it's just a mind game. I'm not sure.
Izzy yesterday called him. Whatever the press conference was, he called out his like grappling and stuff like that. He's like, you suck at grappling. You can't. You have no stamina for it. Like he was like, talking shit or whatever. I think that's why he did that. If this fight goes to the ground, I think everyone's gonna be fucking shocked.
Yeah.
These are two great strikers in their different ways. Izzy's a lot more technical, and Costa's just a powerhouse who's gonna come at you.
He's a brute.
So I'm a big Israel Adesanya fan. I love Costa too. I love Ricky Martin. Izzy's got the better his fights, his record, his
resume.
Yes, his resume is amazing. Costa, his resume is a little spotty. He beat a former champion and Johnny Hendricks, who was washed.
He got Uriah Hall.
He
got you over Merrill.
Hendricks was probably the size of me in that fight, and I'm nowhere near as big as Costa. And then Costa fought, I think, Uriah Hall in the next fight. Bro, yep. Uriah Hall was tagging him with a jab. And
yeah, he was.
Honestly, like, I think he dropped him with a jab too in that fight. But the thing is with Costa, he's just a freaking tank, man. He's gonna come at you, and he weathered that storm and finished Uriah. So I mean, that was a good win. And then your Yoel win was a good one.
It was a big one. It was the biggest one. Huge.
Yeah, and I mean,
nobody beats him like he did.
People did think that Yoel won that fight.
You know what? I can see that.
I leaned a little more for Costa. But I don't know. This fight's gonna be. I think it's gonna be intense. I think that's like probably the best way to. I think it's gonna be intense. I think they're both just gonna bring it. I'm really rooting for Izzy. I think that how amazing his striking is. I don't think we've seen a striker like him in a while. He's just like what he did to Robert Whittaker. Insane.
Nobody does that. He's Anderson 2.0, man, with all the swag and all the movement. He's got a lot going for him, man.
Just with a man's voice. Look. I'll finish that with I'm going for Izzy. But listen, I'll be honest. If Costa wins, wouldn't be surprised. He's got the power to do it.
How could it be? How could it be?
He's got the power to do it. Interesting to see him go 5 rounds though. If it goes that long.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing, right? Because he has all this muscle mass. He's such a big, massive man. He throws all this power. You saw him get a little bit tired against Yoel, right? And that was a 3-rounder, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it a 3-rounder?
It was 3 rounds.
That was a 3-rounder, yeah.
Yeah,
so you saw him get a little bit tired at certain pockets, right? Izzy's not going to get tired. He's going to throw volume. He's going to pick his shots. He's going to be smart. He's going to be accurate, right? So this is going to be a real, real big test. I think Costa does get him out in the first 3 rounds, but if for some reason he doesn't, I mean, Izzy has all the means to take him out. And